I told my daughter I'm disgusted by her after she started seeing her ex again, and now I've revealed a family secret. I'll never forget the day my daughter came to me and said she was in love with her 18-year-old boyfriend, Ryan. What struck me as odd was the way he spoke about their future, telling her they'd get married and start a family within a year. His family, who were devoutly religious, were heavily pushing for this union, often dropping by our house unannounced to discuss their plans. They'd even begun laying out furniture for the nursery in Ryan's childhood home, assuming the couple would move in. My daughter was only 17 at the time, and I knew she wasn't ready for the responsibilities that came with marriage and parenthood. It's been a few years since my daughter started dating Ryan, her then 18-year-old boyfriend. At the time, I was worried about the age gap and the fact that he was still in high school. But I tried to be supportive, not wanting to be the mean mom. Ryan's family, particularly his father, was extremely pushy about getting the two married as soon as possible, citing it as a way to secure their grandson's future. My daughter was adamant that she didn't want to get married that young and that she loved Ryan for who he was, not for any potential benefits. However, things took a dark turn when Ryan was caught cheating on multiple occasions. My daughter was devastated, and understandably so. They went through a rough breakup, but what followed was even more complicated. The two started fighting over custody of their 6-month-old son. Despite the fact that my daughter was the primary caregiver, Ryan's family claimed that both parents should have 50-50 custody. The dispute was emotionally draining for the entire family, but especially for my daughter, who felt like she was losing her son. In the end, the courts sided with the father, giving them joint custody. This whole ordeal made me realize just how difficult their relationship was and the toxic dynamics that existed between Ryan's family and my daughter. As I reflected on my decision to tell Ryan's family about the visits, I came to realize that it was a culmination of their family's actions during the custody dispute. When Ryan's parents initially threatened to restrict access to their grandchild unless I agreed to 50-50 custody, I felt like they were manipulating the situation for their own gain. I also couldn't shake the feeling that they had an ulterior motive for wanting to be the primary caregivers. In the months that followed, Ryan's family continued to make veiled threats and insinuate that I wasn't a fit parent. These subtle jabs started to grate on me, and I felt like they were eroding the trust one had with my daughter. So, when Ryan's family asked me about the visits, I decided to share some information with them, not out of spite, but to remind them that they weren't the only ones with a say in this child's life. I rationalized that by sharing this information, I was taking back control of the narrative and making it clear that I wouldn't be intimidated by their attempts to undermine me. Little did I know, this decision would have far-reaching consequences for my relationship with my daughter. We ended up having a huge argument about her decision to start seeing Ryan again, and I let my feelings get the better of me. I made the mistake of telling her that I was disgusted by her, citing her poor judgment and the fact that she was putting the kid in a toxic situation. She, understandably, took it as a personal attack and became defensive. I tried to explain that it wasn't about her as a person, but about the choices she was making, but she wasn't having it. The conversation quickly escalated, and we both ended up saying some hurtful things to each other. As I looked at my daughter, I saw a lot of her mother in her, the same stubbornness, the same refusal to listen, and at that moment, it all became too much for me. I couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment and disgust, not just for her actions, but for the fact that she seemed so detached from the reality of the situation and unwilling to make changes. The fallout from this conversation was immediate, and I'm still dealing with the aftermath of our argument to this day. Throughout this situation, I've struggled with a mix of emotions and conflicting loyalties. My daughter got back with her ex, and I felt betrayed by her choice. I then revealed a family secret, which could have serious consequences. Considering these factors, I want to ask, was I in the wrong for confronting my daughter and her ex? Let me know in the comments what you think.